Good morning, students. I am Dr. Ritika, the faculty of CSC department, as an associate professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. Today, I am going to deliver the lecture on the subject of software engineering, which is related to the BCA 4th SAM. And today, we will cover the topic of our software testing. Now, what is software? Software is a set of instructions stored digitally within the computer memory which tells the computer system what to do. That is software. Once again, it is a set of instructions stored digitally within the computer memory which tells the computer system what to do. Next, what is testing? Testing is the process of executing a program with the intentions of finding errors. So, testing is the process of finding the errors in the program. Now, what is software testing? Software testing is a process that should be done during the development process. So, in other words, software testing is a verification and validation process. Now, what is verification? Now, verification is the process to make sure the product satisfies the condition imposed at the start of the development phase, and to ensure, or we can say to make sure, the product behaves the way we want it to is known as verification. Validation is the process to make sure the product satisfies the specified requirements at the end of the development phases, and to make sure the product is built as per customer's requirement. Now, difference between verification and validation, or we can say difference between V and V. In verification is to check whether the software conforms to specification. In validation is to check whether software meets the customer requirement. In verification, it does not involve executing the code, and in validation, it always involves the executing the code. In verification, it is human-based checking of documents and files. In validation, it is computer-based execution of programs. Other differences in verification and validation are: verification is done by development team to provide that the software is as per the specifications. In validation, it is carried out with the involvement of client and testing team. Now, in generally, in verification, it comes first done before validation, and in generally, it follows after verifications. So, it is the difference between verification and validation. Now, purpose of software testing. So, software testing verifies that the system meets the different requirements, including functional, performance, reliability, security, usability, and so on. So, the verification is done to ensure that we are building the system right. Basics of software testing. There are two basics of software testing. First is white box testing and second is the black box testing. So let's learn about white box testing and black box testing. Now, what is white box testing? The white box testing is a software testing method in which the internal structure of the item being tested is known to the tester. So, white box testing is often used for verification and it is done by the developers. And advantages of white box testing are the testing can be commenced at an early stages. One need not wait for the GUI to be available. Here GUI stand for graphical user interface. Testing is more through with the possibility of covering most paths. The other advantages of white box testing is that it helps in optimizing the code. Now, disadvantages of white box testing. As knowledge of code and internal structure, it is a prerequisite. A skilled tester is needed to carry out this type of testing, which increases the cost. Not looking at the code in a runtime environment. Now, what is black box testing? The black box testing is a software testing method in which the internal structure of the item being tested is not known to the testers. The black box testing is often used for validation. The black box testing is done by the professional testing team. Now, what are the advantages of black box testing? The tester can be non-technical. Second, tester need no knowledge of implementation, including their specific programming languages. Test will be done from an end user's point of view because end user should accept the system. So disadvantages of black box testing is not all properties of a software product can be tested. The reason for a failure is not found. Only a small number of possible inputs can be tested and many program paths will be left untested is the one of the drawback of our black box testing. Some type of testings are there are many type of testings like unit testing, integration testing, functional testing, system testing and stress testing. So let's learn about the types of testing. Now other types of testings are performance testing, usability testing, acceptance testing, regression testing, beta testing. So what is unit testing? The unit testing is the validate individual units of source code that are working properly. It is smallest testable part of an application, mostly done by developers of the modules. What are the goals of our unit testing? To isolate each part of program and show that individual parts are correct are the basic goals of our unit testing. What are the advantages of unit testing? The unit testing reduces the levels of bugs in production code. Now bug is the error. Bug you can say an error. In our previous slide, that is the first slide of our software testing, we have covered the topic of error, bugs, faults, events we have covered. So hope you can understand the term bug or if you are not able to understand the term bug, so you can understand it like a it is bug is a error. So unit testing reduce the level of errors in production code or you can say bugs in production code. Unit testing inspires confidence. Unit testing makes it easier to change and refactor code. Now next is the disadvantages of unit testing. The unit testing will not catch every error in the program. By definition, it only tests the functionality of the unit, means They only test the module, not catch the errors inside the programs. Now, integration testing. The integration testing is the testing in which a group of components are combined to produce output. Also, the interaction between software and the hardware is tested in integration testing. If software and hardware components have any relations. So integration testing is the group of components which are combined to produce output, or it is based, or it is the interaction between the hardware and the software. So students, integration testing. The integration testing is a testing in which a group of components are combined to produce output. Also, the integration between software and hardware is tested in integration testing if software and hardware components have any relations. Now next is the integration testing. Prerequisites of our integration testing. Before we begin integration testing, it is important that all the components have been successfully unit tested. Now goals of integration testing: to discover faults that are due to incorrect interaction between different software modules are the goals of our integration testing. Next are the integration testing, or you can say some types of integration testings are top-down testing. In top-down integration, as the term suggests, starts always at the top of the program hierarchy and travels towards its branches. In this diagram, here are the different modules, that is module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and these modules firstly completed the unit testing. After they come to the integration testing. Now the integration testing, the first testing is the top down testing, top down integration testing. So in top down integration testing, it start from module 1, move to module 2 and 3, and then further move to module 4, 5 and 6. So in top-down integration testing, it starts from module 1 to module 6. Now in bottom-up testing, the bottom-up integration testing, as its name implies, starts at the lowest level in the program structure. So in bottom-up testing, here you can understand different modules 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In bottom up, it start from module 6 to module 1. So firstly it will cover module 4, 5, 6, move to module 2 and 3, and then further move to module 1 from bottom to up. Now in functional testing, the functional testing is the testing to ensure that the specified functionality required in the system requirements work. It is not concerned about the source code of the applications. So in functional testing, what do we test in functional testing? The prime objective of functional testing is checking the functionality of the software system. First, mainline function. The testing the main function of an application. Basic usability. It involves basic usability testing of the system. It checks whether an user can freely navigate through the screens without any difficulties. Now next is the accessibility. The accessibility checks the accessibility of the system for the users. Error conditions. In error condition, the usage of testing techniques to checks the error condition. It checks whether suitable error messages are displayed. So before going to complete our slide, just take a little bit review what we have covered in our style. The slide is related to our software testing. So firstly we have done what is software. Software is a set of instructions you all are aware about. And now what is testing? Testing is the process of executing program with the intention of finding error. So testing is the process of finding an error, bugs, faults, you can say. Now what is software testing? So software testing is the process that should be done during the development processes, or in other word we can say they follow the term of V and V processes. Now what is V and V? V and V is the verification and validation process. After completion the term software testing and software testing, we move to the what is verification. Now verification is make sure the product behaves the way we want to. It is known as the verification. And now what is validation? Validation makes sure the product is built as per the customer's requirement. So we have covered the definitions of validation and verification. In next slide what we have covered the difference between verification and validation. So these are the difference between verification and validation we have covered in our slide. After all, we have done the purpose of software testing. So it verifies a system that meets the different requirements, which includes functional, performance, reliability, security, usability, and so on. These are the purpose of our software testing. After completion of the purposes, we have covered some basics of our software testing, that are white box testing and black box testing. After completion, the what is black white box testing? So white box testing is used for verification, which is done by the developers. And in here we have covered some advantages of our white box testing. And after covering the advantages, we have covered the advantages. Main advantages is to help the optimizing the code. After advantages, we have covered some disadvantages of our white box testing. So after covering the advantages, disadvantages of white box testing, we have covered what is black box testing. So black box testing is used for validation, which is done by the professional testing teams also. After we have covered the some advantages, which include some specific programming language, so tester can be non-technical also. We have done the advantages. After that we have covered some disadvantages. If testers have maybe non-technical, so they there may be the reason for failure is not found, so they may or may not be able to find the bugs, faults, or errors during the software testing. So it is the main disadvantages of our black box testing. After that we have covered type of testing. So there are different type of testings are unit testing, integration testing, functional testing, system testing, stress testing, performance testing, usability testing, acceptance testing, regression testing, and last is the beta testing. After completion we have done unit testing. So unit testing is the unit is the smallest testable part of an application, which is done by developers of the modules. And after unit testing we have done some goals of our unit testing. And then we have covered some advantages of unit testing, which inspire the confidence and make it easier to change and refactors code. So it reduces the levels of errors in the production code also. After that we have done some disadvantages of our unit testing. So unit testing will not catch every error in the program, so it only tests the functionality of the unit. is the disadvantages of our unit testing we have covered in our slide. After that we have done integration testing. Integration testing is the integration with interaction between the software and the hardware, which is tested in the integration testing. And after that we have covered some prerequisites of integration testing that are very important for being a successful unit testing. So before going to integration testing, firstly the software tester should done the unit testing successfully. After that we have covered some goals of integration testing to discover some faults that are due to the incorrect interaction between the software modules. Then we have done some types of integration testing as the top-down testing. Here is the diagram which I have explained about the top-down testing. The top-down testing should be done from top module to the lowest or the lower bottom down module of the software 12 software module. From first module 1 to module 6 we will start testing from top to bottom. In bottom up testing we will start from lowest level to the upward module. Now here is the example, or the we can say the some flow chart which show how bottom up integration testing to be done. It is done by from module 6 to module 1, from bottom to up. After that we have covered the functional testing. And now what do you test in functional testing? Like mainline functions, some basic usability, some accessibility, some error conditions we have done in our functional testing, or we can say what do you test in functional testing. So it is all about our software testing. So student, thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.